What's going on, people? It's Josh here from gainz Fitness. Beautiful day. So I've come out here in the sun with my corona to speak to you a bit about progressive overload. So the definition of progressive overload is the gradual increase of stress placed on our body during physical activity or exercise training. Essentially what it is a way of structuring our training to make sure that we're progressing each session or each week, or just progression as we go through the year. So when we start lifting weights, our body adapts to the stress of that load or weight placed on it by increasing its size to make sure it can lift the weight more efficiently. But after a while, when the muscle has reached a sufficient size to lift that weight for that amount of sets and that amount of reps, then it'll eventually stop growing. So in order for our muscles to continue growing, we've got to provide them with a new stimulus. So it's important that we provide our muscles with a stimulus or a new stimulus each session to almost force them or give them a reason to grow. So there's a few different ways that we can apply progressive overload to our training. A lot of the time I see people going to the gym week after week and they're going back every time and lifting the same weight for the same amount of reps, the same amount of sets. Eventually they end up plateauing and they wonder why they can't make any gains. First of all, a way that we can apply progressive overload is by increasing the load each session. So this could be a couple of pounds, a couple of kilograms to each one of your lifts each week. So for example, on a bench press for the first week, say you did 100 kilograms for 8 reps. The next week you'll do 101 kilograms for 8 reps. So that's just one way that we can apply progressive overload. The problem with just increasing the load is a lot of the time you'll find out that you actually end up plateauing and you get stuck lifting the same weight for the same amount of reps. Which brings me on to the next point. The second way that we can apply progressive overload is by increasing the volume. By increasing the volume, I mean the amount of sets or reps that we're doing for that particular exercise. On bench press, so we're bench pressing 100 kilograms in session 1 for 8 reps. The next week then, we'll bench 100 kilograms for 9 reps, 10 reps, the week after, or as many as we can. We could even add another set just to make sure that the volume is increased from session to session, providing the muscles with a new stimulus to grow. The third way that we can apply progressive overload is by changing the intensity of exercise. There's a few different ways that we can do this. So we can change up the tempo or the variation of that particular exercise. Let me give you a little example. So we could use pause reps on the bench press. So say for last week we did 100 kilograms for 8 reps, 4 sets let's say. So the following week we'll then do 100 kilograms for 8 reps, but we'll do pause reps. So at the bottom of the movement we'll hold that contraction for a second or two and explode up. This just increases the intensity of the exercise and provides a further stimulus again for our muscles to grow. Now you haven't got to pick number 1, 2 or 3. In fact the best way to apply progressive overload to your training is by actually using all 3 and working in harmony together in order for you to reach your goals. Let me give you a little example of this. So session 1, let's say we're using a 6 to 8 rep range. Session 1, we've got 100 kilograms, 3 sets of 6 reps. Session 2, we've got 100 kilograms, 3 sets of 7 reps. Session 3, 100 kilograms, 3 sets of 8 reps. So when we're hitting 8 reps for all 4 sets, we'll then drop the amount of reps that we're doing for the next session and increase the weight. So session 4 would be 105 kilograms for 6 reps for 3 sets. And we'll just keep on going up and up and up, just continuously providing a new stimulus. We can do this by also increasing the sets. So for example, session 1 could be 6 reps, 100 kilograms for 3 sets. Session 2, 6 reps, 100 kilograms for 4 sets. We could also incorporate pause reps and just change the variation up of the exercise. Now for all you doing strength training and powerlifting, you think you just want to get strong rather than focusing on hypertrophy, progressive overload still applies to you. And the same principle again. If you do stick with your 1 RMs or your couple of reps, eventually you'll find out by just increasing the load that you will end up plateauing. So it is important for you to also increase volume. At the end of the day, generally a bigger muscle is a stronger muscle. So to ensure that we are applying progressive overload and to structure our training properly, I would advise to keep a training log, so keep record of the exercise, the amount of sets, for how many reps and what weight you've used, just so you can refer back each session to make sure you're progressing. Now I'm not saying by applying progressive overload to your training you're instantly going to get huge, because you're not. There's a few other factors that come into play when we speak about building muscle or hypertrophy. Your overall nutrition should be on point, your macronutrient ratio should be correct, and this is going to vary from person to person. It's also important that you've got sufficient, well, you're intaking a sufficient amount of protein, so at least 1 gram per pound of lean body mass. It's also important that you're in a calorie surplus to build muscle, so it means you're consuming more calories than you're expending each day, providing your body with energy to grow. I hope you found the video informative. If you're not using progressive overload already in your training, I would strongly advise to. A lot of the time people do use it, but not consciously, so they're just keeping sort of a mental note in their head of the weights and reps and sets you used, which is fine. If you want to be training optimally, making sure you're making those gains, I'd advise taking a training log. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you found it informative. Please give us a thumbs up if you liked the video. Get subscribed. There's more content to come. Peace out.